Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and welcome to day 21 of the Cracklathon, where I am creating a crackle veneer every day for an entire month. So if you haven't already checked back on the previous days, please do go and have a look at that, as there are a ton of videos by now. So be sure to check that out. So I've got a piece of white Polymer rolled out on my thickest setting, which is about 2 millimeters thick. And you can use any brand of polymer clay you want, but I'm going to be using Polymer today. And now I'm just busy cleaning this up because it's got a few little bits and pieces in it that I'm not quite happy with. There we are. And I'm just going to burnish this. And we're going to be doing a Swellegant crackle. Now this is going to be in joint with tomorrow's crackle, because we're basically going to be using the same veneer, but we're going to be doing different things to it. So, let's get started. You're going to need some brass and copper Swellegant. Give them a quick shake. And now we can use them. I'll just grab my brush, which is over here. And I'm just kind of going to dab it onto the surface. And you want a thick-ish coat. You don't want it to be too thick, but you want it so that it's pretty much covering all that white. Okay, and I've started with the copper, and I will fill in all the spaces that are left with the brass. And if you intermingle the two, that's perfectly fine. In fact, that creates a really nice effect. So I'd recommend starting with the copper and then mingling it with a bit of the brass. Now we do want to work fairly fast here because we're going to be putting some patina on here, and the patina works best when the Swelligant is wet. So don't stress and panic, but you do want to work fairly fast. You don't want to be dawdling. Okay. Then clean off your brush because you don't want to cross-contaminate with your brass. So I'll just give that a quick wipe. Now pack that off to the side. Then you bring over your brass. And now I find this works best with these two. You can try other Swelligants like the silver, iron and bronze, but personally I would work with the brass and copper because they seem to be the best when it comes to this sort of a crackle. But feel free to experiment. Okay, and hopefully you can see there that I'm kind of bringing it into the copper, and I'm just touching the two and dabbing them around so that they all touch. There we go, like that. Okay, then just quickly wipe your brush. And I have a Swelligant dedicated brush because it just gets kind of dirty, and I like to just use a Swelligant dedicated brush. Okay, now you want to have this already prepared beforehand, but I am using Swelligant Patina Tiffany Green Rust. And I have it in a little old spray bottle that I have from the isopropyl alcohol. It's all in here, and I'm going to spray my clay. So that it is wet. And I find this is better than using a sponge or a brush, at least for me personally, just because I find that it doesn't disturb the Swelligant in any way. It leaves it the same as it is. Now you want to leave this for at least an hour. What you want to come out with is basically something looking like this. I've already prepped it. And the way you get that is you wait for about an hour, and then any liquid that is left, you gently lay a wet wipe or tissue over the top, dab it up, lift that straight up, don't rub, don't do anything like that, and then you just let it dry. You can use a hairdryer to speed up the drying process, but it basically needs to look like this but wet before you dab up that before you dab up that patina. Okay, so here it looks after about 15 minutes, and you can see it's starting to get green, but it's kind of sludgy looking. Again, you want to wait until it looks like this. It needs to have a really vibrant moss green rather than this kind of algae, sludgy, messy green, and that takes about an hour. So I just wanted to show you the progression. So in the meantime, since this is going to take about an hour, I want to show you what we're going to be doing, and this we will be using in tomorrow's crackle. So let me just lift this up out of the way. Okay. And this is basically, it took about an hour to do. Then I gave it a quick dab to get rid of all of the liquid, and then I left it for another hour to dry properly. So now I'm going to run it through a pasta machine on my thickest setting. Going to run it through again. You can see we're starting to get some cracks. Now I'm going to run it the opposite way. We're going to start getting some more cracks. Just keep running it through. There we are. Okay, now you might get some ripples. That's pretty normal. But we're looking for something very similar to this. And you might like it, you might not like it. I think it's a really interesting crackle compared to the ones that we've had. It's quite a coarse crackle. And now something that I do want to point out is this crackle is going to vary quite a bit depending on how long you let that swelligant dry for. So if you dabbed it, dried it for about 5 minutes and then rolled it, you're going to get a crackle that looks a lot more like this, where it's really fine. And this one I let dry for about an hour, and you can see how different that crackle is. So if you want a fine crackle, do it immediately. If you want a more coarse crackle, do it about an hour later. I wouldn't leave it longer than an hour though, because otherwise the swelligant won't crack. But I quite like it. It's a really nice organic crackle. Now I'm just going to grab a piece of paper and I'm just going to thoroughly burnish this. There we are. You can see how that looks. Okay, I'm just going to pop that to the side. And the other one that I had a little while ago, this one over here, I will let that continue drying, and then I will show you exactly what I'm going to cut half of it, and then I will show you what the crackle looks like if you put it through the pasta machine straight after drying. Okay, so after just less than an hour, this is how it should look. You can continue, or you can say that's enough and grab a wet wipe and just see how I am dabbing it. Don't rub it, just dab and lift straight up. You'll find that a bit of that comes off, but there shouldn't be that much. Then you can use a hairdryer or the lowest setting on a heat gun to dry it. And basically you want to continue drying until it doesn't feel wet to your hands anymore. Okay, and so it's a little damp, but for the most part it feels pretty dry. So I'm just going to clean up one end, and you also want to just dab the back dry because generally that will have some wet stuff on it. And this looks just about ready to go. So now I'm just going to trim it in half because we want half for tomorrow's tutorial, and see how cleanly that cuts versus before when I let it dry for about an hour it wanted to don't. So now we're going to run this through a pasta machine on our thickest setting. That's what we have so far. Yeah, and so you can see that we had a little bit of leakage from underneath, so it looks like the swelligant has not completely dried. In so many words, if you get that, grab your heat gun or hairdryer again and just give it a dry again. Okay. And now we will run it through the pasta machine, one setting down. And you can see we're starting to get some cracks. Take it down another setting, running it through. And you can see we're getting a very different crackle. So I wanted to show you both because they both have applications to project tutorials, but this personally I like a lot better. So I think I might want to stop there. I think it looks really nice just as it is there, and it has this really beautiful kind of moss-like effect. But again, it is the exact same colour, it's the exact same patina, the exact same clay. The only difference is this was rolled out straight after I dried it, and this was rolled out an hour after I dried it, and you can see there's a huge difference between the two. So it's going to be very different each time you use it, but knowing this trick, you can alternate between the two. So you can see here, this one, I let it dry a little bit more, and you can see we have a different crackle. So, depending on what sort of a crackle you would like, let it have a wait time, dependent on how large the cracks you want. The only thing to remember is after about an hour, it becomes really rubbery, and I would say that is probably too long to wait. So anything over an hour, and you're probably not going to be able to get it to crackle. It's just kind of want to peel off of the clay. But anything before that, you're going to get a pretty nice crackle. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I certainly did. This crackle is really cool. It's probably my best crackle with the Swellegant so far. However, tomorrow we're going to be doing another really cool crackle, so remember to tune in tomorrow. We are going to be using the other half of this tomorrow with some chroma crackle to create a completely different but very interesting crackle. So if you like the tutorial, please let me know in the comments below, and if you'd like to vote for this as your favourite tutorial, consider joining my group Jessama Tutorials Polymer Clay Community on Facebook. We will be having a poll at the end of the month for our favourite crackle, so if you want to participate and vote for your favourite crackle, check out that group, and I'll be doing a project for the most popular crackle next month, so be sure to check that out. And as always, I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.